Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, Islamic mortgage has been there for now a few decades actually, and Alhamdulillah it's been approved by many scholars. In fact, it is increasing day by day with regards to the number of scholars who approves it. Now there's contention about that even within the Deobandi ulamas as well. A group of Deobandi ulama would consider it to be not okay. They don't think it's completely Sharia compliant, although it's Sharia based, but there are certain things which they do not consider okay, and so they are still against it. So, for example, if you take the fatwa of some of the Darulooms like Banuri Town in Karachi or Jame Faruqiya, and likewise in Deoband itself, they consider it to be impermissible, not Sharia compliant yet. There are few glitches, obviously, and on the other hand, Mufti Taqi Usmani Sahab and his team and Jamiatul Rashid and many others, quite a lot actually. The majority, rest, to be honest, you can say, no significant other perhaps would go against that. And in Arab world likewise, and in the West, so they have like a bigger group of scholars who accept that to be okay and Sharia compliant and Sharia based, and it is perfectly fine for people to go and use it. But that's a difference of opinion based on obviously the sincerity that people have towards their evidence, and there's nothing wrong with that. And Alhamdulillah, and that's the beauty of the deen. That is rahmah in those who are really struggling, and if they're really desperate and they can not afford even the rent, then inshallah ta'ala these people should try and do it. If you can afford the rent, you do not need to have a big rent, or you do not need to have a big house. You just have small family, just stay in a small family. The idea that, you know what, I want to have it so that we have a house at the end. By the time you have the house in 30 years, you don't know whether you're going to be there or not. You're going to leave it to someone else. What's the point? Don't leave them something which may have some issues anyway. So generally it's better to stay away from Islamic mortgage because it is safer, and ahwat means more precautionary to stay away from it. But if you have to, then inshallah ta'ala go for it, rather than going for haram mortgage, which is completely crazy, and it shouldn't be going there because this has a lot of sins attached to it. So by all means, you can discuss and you can clarify your situation. If you're not desperate and you're maintaining quite okay with the rent, then stay the way you are. But if you're one of those who cannot live like that, there's a lot of issues going on, and they're finding it very difficult, then the best way is to go for a collective funding, microfinancing. So working together, get a few like-minded people together, and slowly accumulate, collect their money together, buy a house, like everyone tap in a good portion, a good chunk, and then they all get that house finally in the name of one person, and then it could be a company based, and others are the one living there is paying the rent type thing, and then that way should be all inshallah ta'ala fine. But anyway, there's so many different things, but the most important thing is, if you do not need, you're not desperately in need of a house, for example, then you should stay the way you are, rent it, and or share with your parents. It will always be useful. I know people want their privacy, and maybe the families wouldn't be happy with that. That's fine, as long as you do it. And likewise, the other possibility, other option is to go and buy something. You keep accumulating slowly your own money, and then buy a small house, say for example in suburbs. So at that small house you could buy, for example, say even 75,000, 55,000, whatever, somewhere, small house, very small flat, and then you put it on rent, so accumulate some money through that, and also through the value going up in next, to say 2, 3, 4 years, whenever it does, you got extra 10,000 on that, just sell it and come a little bit further, closer to the city, wherever you want to live, and then that 75,000 one is a bit better now, so renting it out another 2, 3 years, 5 years time, further up close to 90,000. This is how you do over the next 10, 20, 30, however long. Because you're happy to do the same with mortgage, Islamic or otherwise. We can't do the same with the sell. Oh, it's a not a big deal. To be honest, you have to have some hardship, some stress, some extra work to be done in order to avoid the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is incurred for those who go on the conventional interest. Even if you find extremely rare opinion and eccentric, anomalous opinion, actually it's completely shad that you can have it. That's strange. In the conventional mortgage, that's not the fatwa of any significant scholars group. But obviously there are a few good scholars as well, like Sheikh Yusuf al-Qardawi and few others, but one should try and stay away from that at all costs.